All right, y'all. So, got to make a quick range report video for the 7 Backcountry. This is going to be episode 5 of the Gear Vault podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening or watching, however you're doing it. I appreciate it. Literally just got back from the range shooting the 7 Backcountry for the first time. I had all the ammo you see up in front here. Had the Barnes LRX 168 grain. I had the Federal tipped Fusion 175 grain, and I had the 170 terminal Ascent. My main focus for going out today was to check velocity. I've got this 16.5-inch barrel Savage Trail Hunter Light, and I was just curious. They've got some pretty impressive speeds on the box for 20-inch barrels. Not a lot of information out there on 16.5s. So was super curious on what that would look like. So went out today, just put the scope on last night. This was the VX3 HD 4.5 to 14 by 40 CDS dial. Like an idiot, I went to the range without the Allen key that takes the cap off. So my windage was set unless I needed to dial up, and lo and behold, I needed to drop it, and that wasn't an option. But neither here nor there. That didn't really affect the purposes of my video. So basically how it went down was I got a target at 100 yards. First thing I shot through was Federal's tipped Fusion 175s. Had the Athlon Rangecraft chronograph out. And I'll say, first off, that thing is super simple to set up. It takes no time. A couple clicks of the button and you're ready to record some data, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, first shot with the 7 Backcountry out of a 16.5-inch barrel with 175 grain bullets was like 29.46, I believe is what it came out to be. And again, that was quite a bit more than I expected. Let me find, I think it's this one here. So the box stated velocity for a 20-inch barrel was 29.75. And I know there was at least one shot of this hit 29.50. So that was with a 16.5-inch barrel. So that's super cool. I was for sure impressed with the velocity. The first thing that I recognized, though, even before the velocity, like before I even looked at the chronograph, was it definitely kicks a little bit. I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but she's got a little punch to her. It is what it is. And honestly, it's hard for me to compare it to the 7 PRC because the last 7 PRC I had was, it was a muzzle brake on there. And I think, honestly, the last couple of guns I've had a muzzle brake. So that's just, part of it. But yeah, with a 16.5-inch barrel, lightweight gun, no muzzle brake, no suppressor, she packs a little wallop. Now, the next thing that I noticed was a little bit of a sticky bolt lift with the Federal tipped Fusions. And I don't know, I didn't think a lot about it at first until I moved on to the Terminal Ascent 170s. And if I can throw a video clip in here, I will. But I had some major extraction issues with the 170 Terminal Ascents. And when I say major extraction issues, like I had to beat on that thing to get it to kick that shell out, like literally beat on it. To be honest, my hands are a little bit sore from the range day today. Finally got it out. Accuracy was subpar. Again, but just quickly to speak on the accuracy, if you watch the video that will inevitably come out prior to this recording, it was not the ideal conditions. So a little bit windy. I was shooting out of the bed of my pickup just because I needed to get some elevation to get above the grass. Just kind of like just everything about it was not ideal. Comfortable, in the pickup bed. A little bit of a downward angle, which, makes it kick a little bit more, makes that felt recoil feel a little bit worse. And there was like a, 5 to 10 or 12 mile an hour crosswind that wasn't consistent. So I truthfully am not concerned at all yet with the accuracy of this rifle slash cartridge. But in any case, I didn't have one group that was under an inch, I can tell you that. And that was out of 4 or 5 groups. The Terminal Ascent, I definitely had extraction issues. Finally got that round out. Again, speeds were in the low to mid 29s, which was super impressive. I ended up shooting another 3 rounds each with that ammo before switching to the solid copper Barnes. Just didn't want to have like the different materials affect like the potential accuracy or anything. Honestly, should probably clean out the barrel pretty good between different types of ammo, or at least that's my opinion. But I did. I shot another 3 rounds each. Again, I think I had one of the tipped fusions. That one was a little bit hard to get out. It wasn't awful. Like if I'd have been shooting a deer or something, I definitely would have got a second shot off. That wouldn't have happened. But smacked it a few times with my hand and it finally came loose. But then I had the same thing happen again on, I think, the second shot with the terminal ascent. And then on the third shot, I could not get that freaking shell out of there. And when I say I used everything in my truck to beat on this bolt, that's exactly what happened. I truthfully thought I was going to have to take this thing to a gunsmith or at least get home and shove something down the barrel and beat it out backwards. But I ended up opening the bolt, laying it against the tailgate and like sliding it hard across to where it hit the end of the tailgate, and one hit like that and it opened right up. Clearly it shouldn't take that to eject a shell, but in any case it did. So, you know, whether it was smart or not, I decided to fire 3 more of the Barnes. And I would say that the Barnes, that was a 168, so it does make sense that that would be like the fastest average, but one of those was like 2960 something. The 3-shot group with the Barnes 168 grain, that average velocity out of the 16.5-inch barrel was right at 2950. And again, the 20-inch box stated velocity is 3000 with that round. So in my opinion, they're kind of underselling the velocity side of things. Either that or they are, I don't know, maybe I'd be curious to see if someone has a 24-inch barrel 7 backcountry, what velocities you're getting if you're actually getting the 3150, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that from 24 inches and 3150 you would drop down to 20 inches and then drop down to 16 inches and still be 2950. Like that, it doesn't really make sense to me. If that is the case, then what that means is that it truly does not take powder burn to get the velocity out of this cartridge. It's actually the 80,000 psi that's doing it, which is cool, because I mean that means you could go down to as low as you want it to go and you're not going to see nearly as big of a drop off as you would other cartridges. That would kind of support what who is it, Horizon, I think, did the 13. They were claiming 2600 and some feet per second with the 175s. Honestly, at this point I believe it. I mean, based on what I'm seeing with a 16-inch barrel getting 2950, there's no reason a 3-inch less barrel wouldn't be, you know, 2700 feet per second, which is absolutely wild to have essentially a pistol getting like full-blown 7mm 08 velocities. That's pretty freaking wild. My issues with the extraction aside, I'm super impressed with the velocities that I'm getting. I'm impressed that Federal is clearly not lying. Like, they're actually underselling it. And I don't want this video to be just talking up the cartridge and talking down the rifle, because truthfully, I don't know at this current moment what the issue is. Like, it's not like it was consistently a problem. It was very random. And so I did, like, the case that was the hardest to extract, I did pull that one out. I marked it with a Sharpie, threw it in my pickup. So I'm going to compare that case with calipers to like some other spent rounds, and then compare it to some unfired rounds and see if dimensions are the same. But there was no signs of pressure, you know, on any of those ones that were hard to eject. I mean, it just seemed like there was an issue with the rifle. Like I said, I don't want to say that 100% because I don't know, but based on the fact that I had one shot that was like 2898 or something, but for the sake of this talk, basically every shot of the day was between 29 and 2950, more or less. So that means, in my opinion, that there wasn't huge spikes in pressure. So I don't think it's the ammunition. It makes more sense to me that it is the rifle, something with the chamber or with the action not being able to hold that pressure. I don't know. I just know that, like, when I initially did the first impressions of this Savage rifle, I thought this bolt is pretty smooth. It seems like it's pretty nice and tight. And after firing it and using it today, it didn't give me that same feeling. It felt felt a little sloppy. And again, like when it's that tight and you're really cranking on that bolt, you notice things that are giving that maybe they're supposed to. I don't know if you can see here, but so this area, whenever it was stuck, like there was a lot of motion in there. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with Savage, so maybe everything is exactly the way it should be. But I can say with confidence that the extraction issues, that is not the way it should be. For whatever it is that's causing it, something is definitely wrong. And so got a message to Savage as I was leaving the range, and at this point they've not seen it yet. Hopefully I will be able to get in contact with them and see if there's something that I'm missing. Ultimately, I think what's going to happen is this rifle is probably going to get sent back to Savage and let them look it over and just see what's going on with it. Trying to think if there was anything else noteworthy. I mean, again, the recoil, it's hard to say because I don't have like a good apples to apples comparison as far as another round. The 7PRC would be the closest thing that I've shot recently, but that did have a break on it, similar weight rifle. So all things being equal, this one should recoil more. And again, the angle that I was shooting, it doesn't lend itself to comfortable recoil, that kind of right on the point of the shoulder at a downward angle. It's going to hurt a little bit more, so I'm not terribly worried about that. Trigger, honestly, the trigger was actually better than I would have expected. Again, I don't like the Accu trigger because I don't like the blade. That being said, it felt good, at the shot. Once you get the blade pulled back when you're actually shooting it, it felt nice. Felt like you could do some precision shooting with it. Yeah, but it's just that extraction issue, man. I don't know what's causing it. It kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. And again, could be the ammo, maybe that's what it is, but it felt like it was the action. Man, again, won't know until someone that's smarter than me takes a look at it, but that's what I've got so far. So what did I learn today? I learned that I don't have confidence in this setup currently. I don't think I could take it into the field in good faith and actually hunt with it, which is a bummer. It's like one of those deals where even if you get stuff figured out and it's all fixed and doing what it's supposed to do, you never have that confidence that you originally had, and that kind of sucks. But the other thing that I learned is that I, so far, am a believer in this cartridge. Assuming that the cartridge itself is not the reason for my extraction issues, and that's okay. If it's the 80,000 PSI causing the Savage action to not extract, is it the Savage or is it the cartridge, which is actually causing that? So like without shooting a more expensive, like the Weatherby 307, if that one had the same issues, then it would be like, okay, well, it's the 80,000 PSI is what's doing it. So maybe it's just this action is totally fine. It's just not designed for 80,000 PSI. I don't know what to say to that. I just know that given everything that I've seen today, I'm pumped for the cartridge. I hope that we can get this figured out. I hope that some of the other rifle manufacturers have some beefed up actions that just take this pressure like a champ, because everything else about it is super exciting. Again, I'm not worried about the accuracy right now. If I had a super calm day and was shooting from a little bit different position, but mostly the wind, I think that's the biggest thing, because it was so hard to judge. It would go from 5 mile an hour on your back to 12 mile an hour right to left, and it's just not, you're not going to have great accuracy when that's happening. Could have even had enough wind to actually rock my truck a little bit. And that's, it's to be expected to have not that great group. So I'm not worried about it, but let's just assume that the accuracy is going to be totally fine. Let's assume that there's plenty of chambers out there that can handle the pressure, and maybe this one can, and I've just got, a lemon or whatever, but let's assume that all that stuff is totally fine. Let's look at what the cartridge is actually able to do. We've got a 16.5-inch barrel. 16.5 inches. I mean, it is a little thing. Right here is the end of the barrel. I mean, that there is no barrel there. And with a 175 grain bullet getting over 2,900 feet per second. That's crazy. That is absolutely wild. I mean, and even with the box saying you're going to get near that with a 20-inch barrel. You know, I mean, that's crazy. So in my opinion, I see no reason to get a 24 or a 20-inch barrel. If you're going to get 2950 out of a 16, then freaking build a 16 and throw a suppressor on there. Throw that little Banish backcountry on there, and you're going to have a, you know, what 16 and a half? That thing's 5.5 inches long. Quick math, 22 inches, right? 22-inch barrel, which is kind of the standard for on a lot of short actions even. 22 inches is not a hindrance to carry in the field at all. So 22-inch barrel, including a suppressor, that's pretty sweet, and I'd be interested in seeing how that would perform. Man, what else to say? My hand freaking hurts because just absolutely rocked it trying to get the freaking bolt to open. My shoulder hurts because I think all in all I ended up shooting, let's see, 6, 12, 15, 18 rounds. I shot 3, just kind of standing up at a box at 20 yards, like right at the beginning. I didn't record that because why would I? So just to make sure it was kind of roughly where it needed to be so I wouldn't, be completely off the box at 100 yards. But 18 rounds total, and I'm a little sore, not going to lie. It's not a rifle that you're going to go shoot all day and just have a grand old time. It's a hunting rifle, you know. You're going to shoot it as much as you can and practice with it as much as you can, but you're not going to go run through 40, 60, 100 rounds of ammo in a day. I mean, if you can, you're going to hurt, honestly. All right. I think that's all I need to say right now. I think we'll gather back together after I hear from Savage or Federal. I'm going to talk to both of them, honestly, because something is causing a problem. This combination of action and cartridge are not liking each other, and I'm going to figure out why and hopefully get to the bottom of it, because I want it to work. I really do, but I can't in good faith go into the woods with a rifle that is essentially could be rendered a single shot. I mean, 3 of those rounds, if I would have been in the field hunting, there is no possible way I could have got a second shot off. Ain't no way. I mean, the one, I freaking dicked around with that thing for 15 minutes probably before I finally slammed it against the tailgate of my pickup to get it to open up. So that wouldn't have happened. I would have had to come out of the woods on that one or beat it against a tree, which, to be honest, there was a couple times today I felt like beating this thing against a tree or just chucking it into the ditch. I get frustrated like that, especially, when you're so excited about something that, the latest and greatest, new and improved. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that expensive. Like I said, I talked about that in my last video, or my first impressions video, was that I felt like you were getting a lot for the money. Well, I don't know. I guess that's to be determined. If what you're getting is poor extraction and maybe whatever decent accuracy we'll see, but for a single shot, it's not that great a deal. And that's basically what I had today, so that's not cool. I've got a lot of hope in that 168 grain LRX, though. I mean, that seems like a really, really good, just all-around bullet. I'm hoping it works out. I'll do some testing with water, maybe some gel at varying distances for sure, though, at 25 yards, because, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of guys that hunt at that distance and bullets are blowing up. Like, it's a thing that actually happens. And I'd be curious to see, with this speed that we're getting out, even out of this 16-inch barrel, close to 3,000 feet per second at 25 yards, what will these bullets do? I'm excited to run that terminal ascent at that distance, because I have had a subpar result with that bullet. An LRX, I've never killed anything with an LRX. I have the TSX and TTSX, never actually killed anything with the LRX. So I'm curious, it seems like a good all-around bullet, but, if they're making it to expand at, longer distances, is it structurally as solid at that close range? Fusion, I honestly feel like was probably maybe even the best one for close range, just based on what I've seen online, but like to test that stuff myself, obviously. But I think that's going to be the end of this video, y'all. I appreciate you watching or listening. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow along on the podcasts. I don't know what you say for podcasts. You say follow along or subscribe or download. I don't know. But in any case, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying talking about this stuff. Today was not super enjoyable. It's one of those, it's been real and it's been fun, but it's not been real fun. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Till next time, y'all be safe.